Good morning. We are going to go ahead and give another 5 minutes to those just getting logged in, and then we will go ahead and start the webinar. Okay, it looks like everyone is logged in, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Grouplink's Everything Help Desk customer webinar with UV Explorer, which is a network asset tracking and discovery tool. First, before we jump into the webinar and the agenda, I just want to mention that we do have another webinar set up for next Thursday, November 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can request a link from us by sending an email to info@grouplink.net, but you can also refer to the email sent for this webinar, as there was a registration link to next week's as well. What that webinar is going to discuss and go into detail about is a solution titled Grouplink's PowerShare. This is a solution that when there are challenges faced such as scarce privileged IT resources on your team, the IT paradigm can be changed by allowing creation, automation, and secure sharing of powerful, secure IT scripts. This can empower the help desk and other savvy helpers to take over micro-administration tasks, thus eliminate the IT bottleneck and promote a better customer experience. Grouplink PowerShare is a console for organizing, executing, and sharing your valuable IT scripts. This enables your help desk and other personnel to participate in routine IT tasks. It also frees up your privileged IT personnel to work on high-value projects, and it increases your IT administrators without increasing rights. Grouplink PowerShare enables IT administrators to create, authenticate, and securely share simple low-code applications. A script can be created in any language and then shared across any platform. PowerShare takes care of access control, version control, distribution, security, and auditing. You can leverage and share the power of your IT administrators and apply more of their time to high-value projects. So just so if you want to tune in next week, go ahead and request that link from us. Or like I said, you can refer to that previous email and we can do a demonstration and go into full detail on the new product of Grouplink PowerShare. So as far as today goes, we have two presenters. The first will be Brian Kapp, and he is going to do a in-depth demonstration of the Explorer product. And then my name is Catherine Thomas, and I am the customer care manager here at Grouplink, and I will go into the help desk related items. So as far as the agenda goes, Brian will start off with a demonstration, and then we wanted to just do some question and answer right after that, so that whatever questions you have that refer directly to that product, Brian will be here to answer those questions, and you can just ask them right after that demo is complete. Then once we're finished with those questions and answers, we will go into the 11.5.1 that is currently in beta version, the iPhone and Android apps, and the upcoming features that will be in future releases of the help desk. And then again, we can just go over the PowerShare webinar that is next week. So I am going to turn the time over to Brian. I'm just going to share my screen with him or make him the presenter real quick. And he will go ahead and take over and show you the UV Explorer product.
Well, welcome everyone. Again, my name is Brian Kapp with UV Networks. We build a network discovery and asset tracking product called UV Explorer. And we have actually had a link to Everything Help Desk for some time now that we share that information and integrate it directly with their Everything Help Desk product. But we wanted to introduce you to the product and what it's capable of and how it can help you in your day-to-day operations. UV Explorer, when you launch it, it actually tracks network assets, basically like a document. And when you open it up, you can see that everything that we do inside of UV Explorer is captured as a timestamp discovery result. And you can see you can give them names and different things. And we'll show you why that's important as we move along. But when you open it up, you can either get started with a new discovery wizard or open a new discovery or open an existing discovery. For those who are unfamiliar with network discovery, basically the UV Explorer is a product that you can install pretty much on any desktop or server platform inside your network, and it's going to use standard network protocols like anything from ping to SNMP to WMI to crawl around your network and find all IP assets and discover what those are and pull all the information directly from those devices. And also one of the key features of UV Explorer is that we can actually give you a topology map of how everything is put together, like where certain devices are connected to the network, whether it's connected to a switch or connected to an access point or so forth. So when you open up UV Explorer, you can just go into and open a new discovery. You'll get a blank document. And as you can see here, there's different things that you can view within the product. Down here at the bottom, we kind of give you different views into the devices that we were able to capture. For example, you can look at the device view, your IP scope, which is your subnet views. You want to look at more specifically at your wireless infrastructure, your virtualization, all of these things. As you browse down through here, there's lots of different options you can look at, but one of them that we're going to talk about today is our connection to Everything Help Desk, and we'll show you how those are tied together at the end. We're going to jump back here to the device views. You can see here we have empty views here on all types of devices, and what we do in this panel is that we show you generic categories that we typically find on an IP network, and like routers, switches, wireless controllers, printers, virtual hosts and machines, and everything from Windows, Apple devices, and so forth. And the way you get started in any type of discovery is you can basically do a discovery without many credentials. You can go out and do a ping sweep. I mean, if you've ever done any kind of network discovery, you can go do a scanner that would just go through all the random IP addresses on your network and start seeing if they respond. We would like to go a little bit deeper than that so that we provide you with an ability for you to configure credentials so that we can talk more specifically to the devices that we find on the network, like SNMP. SNMP is key to us being able to pull the information, the asset information from networking devices and create a detailed list of everything that you have on your network and what that device might be, whether it be a printer and its serial number or a switch and its configuration as far as VLANs and bridge ports. But so you can specify different SNMP credentials here. There's also the other protocols that we cover, like SNMP v3, which is required in government settings. WMI will allow us to connect to Windows desktops or servers and connect with them and pull details like software installed, processes running, BIOS information, computer OS, and so forth. There's other credentials that we'll use like Telnet and SSH. These are not required, but they allow us to pull configurations from switches and routers so that you can actually grab backups of all of your switch configurations and keep them here within the UV Explorer database. And there's also VMware. You can give us the VMware credentials and we'll discover the hosts and the vSphere and your virtual switching and also your virtual machines, and we'll dive down into those devices. So once we have credentials defined, we can set up our discovery settings. Discovery settings kind of describe to us how we want to crawl around the network. A ping sweep is something that we would just go ahead and scan through an IP range and look for anything that will respond to us in that IP scope. And you can see here, I've just kind of described a little test network here. We're going to go through this subnet here. But with that, when you specify a seed range, you'll assign it what credentials you want it to scan. As you can see, over time in testing in this little demonstration, we've defined lots of different credentials. You can use as many credentials as you like, and essentially what UV Explorer will do is it will try to connect to any device it finds and use those credentials to try to talk to it, whether it be via SNMP, Windows, VMware, and Telnet or SSH. Once it authenticates to the device and can pull some information, it'll basically give you the best result. And you can rank these, as you can see here on the right, which ones you want to try first. Include and exclude scopes give you some control over where our scanning will take place. In large networks, especially sensitive ones, there's particular areas that you may want to stay out of. You can put that into an exclude scope, so you can kind of give a broad range of where you want to scan. But you can also tell us to say, inside that broad range, please stay out of these areas. Or at the end of discovery, you can also tell us what type of devices you want to include, like core devices, routers, switches, servers, that and so forth. And you can ignore things if you're not interested in the printers or IP phones. You can kind of exclude those so that you don't keep those in your discovery results. The reason that we define these discovery settings like this is that once you have a setting set up, you can reuse that setting over and over again. We didn't want users to have to redefine every time they want to figure out how to discover their network, to do it over and over again. So once we've set up a setting, we can come to here. This is a setting that we've got for our lab here. And I'm going to go ahead and start that. You'll see that immediately UV Explorer will go out there and start to scan the network, that subnet, giving us feedback about what it's finding. Down here, we try to do a general assessment of what we're finding. However, this set down here will actually never be complete until actually we capture all the data and then we calculate what we've found. The technology that we're demonstrating here is technology we've been in this network discovery space for over, it's almost 20 years now. We've built this technology into other platforms like Microsoft Visio, Altiris' notification server. We've built products for other network monitoring platforms like What's Up Gold. And we have packaged our technology in ways that we want to be able to share it. So we've used that experience over the years to kind of fine-tune what we're doing here. And that's why I say when we get a result set at the very end, we do a lot of analysis of what data we've captured, and that way is what we can present in the device categorization, asset collection, and also the topology view. As you can see here, we're digging in now to the detailed discovery, which is once we've identified the IP addresses on the network, we'll circle back on them, and using the credentials that we authenticated with, we'll pull the details out of those devices and again try to capture as much detail about the system as we can. At any time during the discovery, you can hit the task and you can see what we're working on. You can see here that this is stuck here a little bit on our config info. So actually I've defined this so I am actually pulling the configs from a couple of the network devices, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer if you do that. But we'll be done here quickly. So now once the discovery is complete, we have an option to either open the discovery like a new document, or you can merge it with whatever's existing. So if I was already viewing discovery results in this view, I may want to merge that result. Because of the way we let you segment your discovery results, you can take small chunks along the way, and as you find more and more, you can merge those results together. Again, our technology is one, you can kind of think about it like Legos. I mean, each individual Lego is kind of interesting. It's got color and size and shape, but it's not really that interesting until you start putting it all together. And that's the way network discovery is too. We take each individual piece of what we find in the network, and then we compute discovery or topology at the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this. And you'll see that we'll get a view of all the IP addresses we found on this test network. See here by their name, the IP address, what MAC address they are. If we were able to use a protocol like SNMP, you'll start to see descriptions of what they are, what the SNMP OID is, and what vendor they are. And you can sort and reorganize these things if you want to look at, based on the vendor. We have tools in here that you can, we call this, there's an auto filter. So if you were looking for something specific, like if I wanted just to look at the Cisco devices on my network, I simply typing there in that filter, you'll filter it down to what you can see there. We'll go back here, and again, then down here on the left, you'll see that that's a list of all of our devices. Then you will see all core devices. Core devices to us are devices that are actually performing network function, as in routing, switching, access via wireless, and so forth. And then also all devices that responded with SNMP. As you click on the left here, you'll see that, like if I see all my switches on my test network, you'll see this list change. Down here at the bottom, you're going to get all the details of each individual device that as we click through it, like for example, this Cisco switch right here, you see all the system information here at the bottom, its IP addresses, all the interfaces that are part of that device, bridge ports and VLAN mappings. And in this view, you'll also see out here to the right is what devices are connected to that individual port. So out port 4 on this device, we'll see that we have an Aruba access point. You can browse down through here and see all those different things. This view, this tab right here, Asset and Inventory, will tell you what kind of chassis this is, what product it is, model and serial number, and what hardware, firmware, and software versions it is. A more specific view of its links about what's connected to each port, and so forth. And you can keep browsing out through here. And at the end, you can actually see that during this discovery, I actually captured a startup and running config. And I can double click on that, and I can actually look at what the config was that I captured off of that device. We do that just for future reference, so that somebody can always know that they have a backup of their latest configuration on a device. And also we can use that for reporting for differences or changes in the network. Now these lists are all great, but as I mentioned earlier, one of our specialties is that we can do dynamic mapping. You can see here that we have a topology map of how everything's put together. So this Catalyst device that we were just showing you, if you double click on it, it'll pop up all the details. But you can also see just from this view here how it's interconnected to the other switches on the network. So you can browse around, use the mouse over, and look at those things. And you can see between these two switches here what ports there are. You can double click on those also, and it'll tell you a little more details about those links. And you can notice that also there's some color shading on this view. That's actually coming from our monitoring system, so that there are actually these devices here saying that there's no data collected on this one. And this one's actually, he said that based on a monitor that we defined before, this one's actually in error. So our topology view actually has an overlay of monitoring status of these devices. And so you can see that here in a quick view. As you keep going up and down these views, like if I go back to all SNMP devices, you'll see the topology there of all the SNMP devices. If I want to go to the top, it'll show me all devices that were discovered on this network. Now the great thing about these views, like I mentioned, we've been around the discovery business for quite some time. One of those experiences that we worked for Microsoft and built tools for Visio. You can take any document you see here or map that you see and export it to Visio. So if I quickly click on that, I'm going to create a VDX document and open it in Visio, and you'll see the exact document out there in Visio with the same layout. And actually what we do is we actually attach detailed information to that Visio document. So it's not just a picture, it actually has details to it. So as I look at this switch, you can see it's a Buffalo device. That's its IP addresses, its MAC address, and like for example here, you'll get serial numbers for the Cisco device and also how it's interconnected. So we do have features to allow you to export it to PDF, SVG, or Lucid chart. Those are also all documentations. They all provide different features and functions. Obviously, PDF and SVG is free. Visio, you got to have the product, and Lucid chart is an online, basically an online Visio. So with that, you can see all these different views. Like I said, go back to our device view, and I guess we can keep looking through here to see what we found. Now, as I mentioned before, there's different ways to look at this the views. Right now, we're looking at it from a device side. IP scope just lets us see all the subnets that were discovered, and you can kind of click through them. Also, what VLANs were discovered as far as the virtual LANs on the network. If I wanted to see what devices are participating in the admin or the dev VLAN, or it'll basically filter that list for you, so you can quite quickly see which devices are connected to which virtual infrastructure. You look at more views of like your wireless APs, your wireless controllers. I don't have any virtual on this network, but you can look at more specifically at your vSphere, vCenters, your virtual hosts, and your Hyper-V servers and so forth. And then you can jump over here to the report side. Anything that we discover can be exported from this system. Like for example, we're looking at an asset and inventory report. It'll give you all the devices we were able to capture as far as name, IP, serial number, model, and so forth. Give you a connectivity report. It's a little busy because it gives you a lot of details as far as if I wanted to look at what it's actually connected to my CAT 3560, I can see it directly there that out each port, what devices are connected here. And again, this filter row gives you the ability to quickly filter and find any information you're looking for. You can get a version of software inventory here. You can look out there on your network and find out what all software is installed, what processes might be running. Now, we didn't run this last discovery with WMI, but you could, if we had that set up, you'd find computer systems, BIOS, operating systems, processors, disk space. You can go across your whole IT infrastructure as far as what you can find. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is all well and good and you were able to find what you wanted, but we mentioned earlier the discovery settings would be useful for future things, like for example, scheduled discoveries. It's not always, fun to remember to run these discoveries so that you have an up-to-date map or description of everything in your network. Well, we allow you to schedule your discoveries. You can set them up by name. You pick a discovery setting right here. I want to do the lab. That's what it's going to do. And then I set it up on a schedule so it'll run every day at 12 a.m. You can set it to run twice a day. And then you can get any type of events that you want. You can display the events in your tray. You can send notification to different email addresses. You can attach asset reports to those emails, attach connectivity reports, things of that nature. And then also you can, if a scheduled discovery is running, or you can force it to run even outside the schedule to say, I want to run this schedule right now. And what that does is when it runs the scheduled discovery, it basically keeps track, like I mentioned. Let's go look at I can open up my discovery here. You'll see that I have manuals, scheduled, and roll-up. Raw and roll-up, what that means is that every time I run a scheduled discovery, we do a capture. And what that allows us to do is to be able to tell you what's changed on the network discovery between each time we run the discovery. But in the end, we also want to keep a roll-up of all of those discovery results so that you actually have the most, like you can see here, we have 4 backup discoveries on this UV Lab 2 discovery, and then we have a roll-up. And that roll-up will be your most up-to-date and combined, like I mentioned earlier about the Lego blocks. As things come and go, we do a roll-up of each discovery raw result we have, and this is the most comprehensive view of your discovery results. But once you've set up a scheduled discovery, you just set it and let it run. Again, if you look up here at the top, we have this tool called Discovery Diff, and you can go into any discovery that you may have performed. Like, for example, let's go this first one right here, and let's do the same discovery result, but let's look a little bit later. Like maybe those, looks like those were done 20 minutes apart. So if I run a diff here, it'll give me a list of all devices that were removed, added, and changed. So there were none that were changed, but we did added 2 new devices came to the network, and that that device was removed. Tell you how links were changed, which ones were removed or added, and where they were connected. You can find anything from MAC addresses to IP addresses, host names, system names, serial numbers. It keeps track of everything. And that's what I was mentioned before, is that each raw result that we capture, we can go back and run a picture in time about what the network looked like at that time, and compare it to either current or a different point in time. For example, if someone came in and said something's changed on the network and they don't know what's happening, you can actually look at the network discovery results and see if you see the differences between one set of results to the other. Now, other things that, one of the reasons for this webinar today is to say, okay, well, this is great. This is a tool that can capture everything that I have on my network and report on it, but how does this relate to Everything Help Desk? Now, if we go and look at our link here, this is our link to Everything Help Desk. Basically, what you can do is you can say, I want to enable the link to my Help Desk product, and you can point anywhere actually on the network that you have this running. And once you authenticate to it, you can see here, I'm looking directly at my installation of Everything Help Desk. As you can see, I've already got some assets in my asset tracker as far as Everything Help Desk is concerned. But what I'm going to do, let's do this. I'm going to go over here and just so you know, this is a test button. I'm going to go ahead and wipe out all my assets inside of Everything Help Desk, and if you look there now, I have no assets, and I'm basically starting from ground zero. But what I can do is I can go back to my exporting assets, and I can look at my discovery result here, and you can see here are all the devices that I have discovered during this discovery run. And I can come in here in any of these devices, and I can click them all, or I can just click the ones I want. And as simple as that, I can actually check to see if they're in. Oh, I unchecked my stuff. I can see if they're already exported to my asset tracking system, or not. But then I can go ahead and set up an export. Say, well, I want to be the owner. What group do I want to put them in? Their statuses, give them a status and location, and as simple as that, I can export those devices. You'll see that they're now exported. If I go back over here and refresh, now all of our IP assets that we have discovered inside of UV Explorer have been shared with the asset tracker for Everything Help Desk. I can go into the details of this device right here, and you can see that I put the asset number on the Foundry. It's a switch. What is it? And you can see my serial number is attached to it, what model it is. I even attached networking information here. I can see what it's actually connected to. So if you had an end station, you can actually see what network device it's actually connected to, what its MAC address. There's other things like if we were to capture the OS version and NetBIOS information, we would actually be able to export that too. So as simple as that, the two systems are sharing the asset data that we've already collected, and makes it real easy for you to keep track of your IT assets without having to do a lot of duplicate or manual entry. And to be honest, most times people, when they run a discovery, they'll be quite surprised of actually everything that we can see. A lot of times they'll say, well, that device was disconnected years ago. And they'll go find out that it's still running down in the wiring closet for some reason. Somebody either plugged it back in or they never actually did unplug it. But we'll find IT assets that are just hanging out there on the network and be able to allow you to find them and track them inside the Everything Help Desk. Now, one other thing that we wanted to let people know that's available is also, I mentioned earlier that these maps actually have color to them. And we look at monitors. UV Explorer provides a system that you can set up along with the scheduled discoveries. We can also allow you to, if you set up you can do a ping monitor where basically you can set up devices to say, hey, I want to, let's go look at my network devices here. I'm going to select them all. No, I don't want to do those two, but I do want to do those. I'll go ahead and put a ping monitor on these and put them in my system. If I force that to run right now, you'll see that they're all up and everything should be happy. If I go look back at my device view and look at my map on my switch gear, I actually see some more. Oh, these are different devices, sorry. But if we look back at our monitoring side, you can look at all the devices that we have here and how they're running all different types of monitors. And you can set that up in your system so that you can kind of keep track of the status of the devices. And there's all sorts of type of monitors like ping, port testing, DNS checks, CPU load, interface utilization. You can do WMI counters if you want on servers, like an email server. But again, these are all the different types of statuses. Based on the monitor, I can set up custom things to set thresholds on those monitors and so forth. So that's where you'll see statuses. And also with those monitors, we also have events, how you want to receive notification, like through email or just log in the events of what the status of those devices are. So UV Explorer covers a lot of ground. I mean, the key thing that we wanted to point out in this demonstration today is how connected the two products are. So you can use UV Explorer to do all your IT asset discovery and how that information can be automatically shared to the asset tracking inside of Everything Help Desk. But I know we went pretty fast. There's lots of other stuff to explore like tools and things of that nature, but I think it'd probably be great to give you a chance to ask questions and we can kind of drill into things for the audience. So Catherine, I'm not exactly sure how we do that, but.
Okay, I can see, you can probably see the chat as well, but anybody, if you just place or hover your cursor on the screen, then a menu pops up at the bottom and you can click on chat and then ask your questions there.
All right, I guess I'm just reviewing that. I think there was one question, a little bit more detail. Yes, we've covered a little bit. There was a question about the alarming and or the monitoring and alarms. Currently, we are not sending anything directly to the Everything Help Desk as far as a trouble ticket or anything of that nature. We anticipate that will be a future release of the product. As I mentioned earlier, like if you look at these monitors, let's take a look at this ping monitor. There is an event here that you can show us different ways to alert. We anticipate that there'll be another one here, a direct connect to Everything Help Desk, that we can actually create tickets directly out of the event and send for example, if the ping was to fail, we can send a trouble ticket directly to Everything Help Desk and you would see that almost immediately. So right now it's not that way. What we'd see is you could actually set it up so you could send automatic alerts to a system administrator's email address. And I know that Everything Help Desk has capability to parse those emails directly and put them into a trouble ticketing system, but we anticipate that the enhancement here shortly would include automatic ticketing. There was a question here is how can it pull config files off Cisco devices if they are password protected? As I mentioned earlier, protocols are key to that. If you give us the Telnet and SSH credentials, these are the credentials that we use to connect to the device. What you do is during the discovery, let's go back to discovery settings, you tell us that you want to capture configs, and then you give us the SSH credential that you want us to try, and we will attempt to connect to that device, and then we understand the device is command set enough to be able to log in and issue the command to show the config or show the running config, and then we capture that. So that's how that is done. Hopefully that answers the question. There is one that says how large a network can be discovered to put the assets information into Everything Help Desk. Actually, we don't give too many limitations as far as, we've tested our network discovery up to over 100,000 devices. We've had successful runs on device networks up over 300,000 devices. We don't recommend doing that from one installation, but the technology can handle that. It's all a matter, we actually, as we discover, we hold it in memory, so memory limitations are often a consideration, but they're, like I said, we can easily handle 20, 30, 40,000 devices in any network. Again, if there's any limitations on Everything Help Desk side, I don't believe there is. We can put all those all that asset data directly into Everything Help Desk for you. So I don't anticipate any limitations there. There's a question here in regards to how long does it take to discover different parts, different sizes of networks. Again, it is limited based on, or it's all relative in respect to one of the things you can look at on the discovery settings. There's an advanced set, and you tell us how many devices you want to communicate with during one pass. Like I have it set up to 125 threads right now, or I can be talking to 125 devices at the same time. You know, we've ran discoveries on, like the question here references a 5,000 node network. We've ran discoveries on something that large that usually take between maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Or it can take longer depending on what you want to capture during the discovery. For example, collecting Windows type of data is always going to add more time. So if you click on Windows, you do a basic Windows inventory versus a full Windows inventory. Those take considerable more time. Some of a full Windows inventory can take up to 20 minutes for an individual device, and so that can slow things down. That's why we recommend people to use the product first to discover everything as far as SMP is concerned, and then drill more into the Windows and asset inventory for Windows or VMware after that. Again, depending on how fast your network is, how fast the devices return. But again, we've been doing this a long time. Comparing it to other products is probably not fair to them, because a lot of the people come at discovery from different reasons. Like we'll have monitoring products try to dabble in discovery. And like I said, we've built products for products like PRTG, What's Up Gold, SolarWinds, those type of things. And they're monitoring companies coming at it from a different perspective, and we hands down beat them by at least 2 to 3 times faster. So.
Okay, I don't see any other questions in the chat box. So thank you, Brian, for doing that demonstration and answering those questions for us. We'll just go ahead and continue to move forward on the webinar. But if any questions do come up with the Explorer product, just go ahead and you can place those in the chat. If we can answer those during the webinar, we will. If not, then we will go ahead and contact you. So we did want to place up here just where you can go on our website to request a copy of Explorer. And also what the pricing is. If you have any questions, again, you can go ahead and submit an email to me or to Andrea or even to the info box to request a quote or any of those specific questions that you might have as far as, hopefully you can see it now. It's just showing the link that you can go and get the download from, and again, as well as the pricing. So we'll just go ahead and go to the next topic here, which is 11.5.1. It is currently in beta. It had been in beta before, and we did release 11.5. But 11.5 was not compatible with MS SQL. So this one is. We have been testing it on our support site for the last week and a half and haven't run into any issues. So if you would like to go ahead and test it, if you do have a test database, we can send that to you. You can just go ahead and contact Dan in support or just send in an email and we can give you that access through a Dropbox. Like I said, we're on our second week of this, so hopefully we don't run into any issues and we can go ahead and release that here soon. But the major issues were the attachment issue. There was just, not an option to see some larger attachments, and then also the MS SQL issue. There is a long list of other items, just different bugs that some of you might not have even noticed, but maybe there are some that did. And I can, when we go ahead and make that release, you can see all of the bugs that have been fixed in that. But if you would like to see that prior to, I can go ahead and send that out to you. So the next thing that I wanted to cover here is just the mobile apps. We did release 2 apps, the iPhone and the Android, with 11.5. And honestly, the biggest question that we've had is just how to go ahead and set that up. So what I'm showing you here on that slide is the very first time that a person would go ahead and download and set this up, where it says API server, you just have to simply put in the URL location to your help desk and then add a \API/ to the end of that. And then you can go ahead and log in and, use the help desk just as if you were on the help on the desktop version. So that will only appear on the first time that you go ahead and set it up. After that, all you're going to see is the username and the password. Now, most of our customers requested this app just for technicians, but users can also download and use the app as well. So if that is something that you want your end users to do, that is available to them as well. So it looks like there is a question on 11.5.1 that I can answer for you real quick, and that is, does it run on Oracle? And sorry I didn't cover that. The answer to that is yes. So if you do have an Oracle database, then that version is compatible with that as well. Okay, so back to this app. I just wanted to show you, on the slides I have just a couple pictures, but I do have copies of all of them if you want to view them. But it typically looks the same as if you're on the desktop. This right here is when a technician logs in, they're just going to see all of their different custom tabs here, and then they just go ahead and select one, and then they would view it, view all the tickets that are inside of it. And then here is once they are inside, they are seeing all of the, on the left-hand side, you're seeing all of the tickets that are under that tab. And then there is a sort option, so you can quickly sort it to view it by a location, by the date that it was created, or even by the contact. And you do that by clicking the down arrow in the upper right hand corner. So you can sort it, and it can be customizable to that person that's logging in and viewing that app, just the same as that is on the desktop. Okay, so as far as the app is concerned, it is pretty easy, pretty simple to use. But if you do have questions about that, I can always do a demo, a one-on-one demo with you as well. So you can just go ahead and let me know, and we can go over that. As far as the upcoming features, these are some features that will be released in Q4 and Q1. We already have developers working on them, and half of them are complete, so they should be out soon. So the user management changes, we did have a lot of requests to be able to filter by role so that you could quickly see how many technicians you have. That was the biggest question. Users, you usually aren't too concerned about that, but you can filter by the manager role and the technician role. It also gives you the ability to delete multiple users at one time. And it also gives you the option to hide inactive users. So if there are people that have gone and are no longer there, you can just go ahead and hide those so you don't have to see them in the list of users there. The SLA, there's a few additions there. One would be a calendar option. We do have several customers that might work, for Monday through Thursday, they work 7 to 4, and then Friday, they maybe work one Friday and the next one is off, or they have just an altered schedule other than 8 to 5 every single day. So we do give the option of doing it by day, so you can have different schedules for every day of the week if needed. And we've also added a permission to the permission model that will give you the ability to take away that SLA view from the users. So currently, if a user puts in a ticket, they can view the SLA up at the top to see if things have been met as far as response time and then resolution time. But this will give you the ability to take that off of the ticket. We also added on the sub-ticket, anytime you have a child ticket attached with a parent ticket, you can see limited information, but you can also click there to view the ticket in its entirety. We are now giving you the option to go ahead and say what you want to appear there. So the admin would put those parameters in. So if you want to see the category option, the subject, the created dates, the modified dates, all of that is going to be up to you. You can leave it as it is and just see the ticket number and the subject of that. And then, of course, you'll always be able to click in and view the ticket. But it will be up to you now as far as what your technicians will see in there. The system welcome message, we just have added the opportunity to put in a URL. So when your technicians or when your users log in to the help desk, in that system message text that displays, you could put a URL if there's something that you need them to be able to click to go and view. You can do that there. The work time for each technician on a ticket, we realize that tickets are passing through multiple technicians, and rather than give a work time for the entire ticket, we are going to break that down by technician so that if it does get passed on from a level 1 to a level 2, and so on and so forth, you can go ahead and track that per technician instead of per ticket. Some of our other options are a ticket instructions feature. It'll just give some instructions as far as how to fill out the ticket. If you want, again, that's something that you can enable or not. A chat feature, we are adding a chat feature so that your end users would be able to chat with technicians. And it is using Rocket Chat as the engine behind that. Suggested solutions while entering a ticket. This would be like, let's say they go ahead and select the category of hardware, and then they select printer. Some options will appear as maybe some troubleshooting tips, kind of like a knowledge-based article, but it's going to be based on what they select in the ticket, and it's going to appear right there on the ticket. So they don't have to go to the knowledge base, do a search, try to find it, and then maybe put in the ticket, or just put in the ticket and not search the knowledge base at all. Those options will be available right there as they're entering it. And then as far as the ticket filter, we've just added the watcher to be able to filter on watcher and to be able to filter on the response time as well. These are just a few of the items. I just selected maybe half, so there are other things out there. We didn't want to take up too much of your time today, and I knew that the Explorer product is, we get a lot of asset questions, a lot of things to add to our own asset, but we found that the Explorer product does everything that our customers are requesting, and it's also an easy way to get your assets into the system. So we thought we would devote most of our time to that. But again, if you do have any questions on anything that we've covered, you can always contact me. But I would like to remind you that we do have that webinar next week, and you can sign up for that one as well. So I'm just going to wait and see if there's any questions in the chat here for a minute, and we can go ahead and answer those or go over those. So if you have any, just go ahead and put those into the chat. Okay, so this question is just asking for next week's webinar, and you can send an email to info@grouplink.net to request that registration information. Or again, it's in the email that this webinar was listed on as well. So they both were listed there. You can click and register that way. Okay, on the beta version, there's a question on how to get the beta version of 11.5.1. We can go ahead and we just have a release that you have to sign stating that you will be putting it into beta form and not into your live database. And then we can send you a copy of it, and then you can go ahead and do all the testing necessary if you're not already on 11.5. So if you do want to go ahead and do that, just put your email address in the chat and we can go ahead and get that information to you. Okay, so it looks like the next question is asking if we are recording the webinar. We are. You can go ahead and request a copy of it, or I can go ahead and send it out to everyone after this. So you can request it through my email address, or again, anything that goes through the info@Grouplink will come to me as well. So, and let me just check on that real quick, Kathy. She's asking about the ticket template issue. Okay, so Kathy, I'm seeing a few different ticket template items. So let me contact you when this is over to get more information on which ticket template issue you are referring to, so that I can give you the right answer here. So the question, the next question I see is Grouplink considering other components of IT in addition to the help desk, the Explorer, and PowerShare? The answer to that is yes. In the next few weeks, Grouplink will announce components of its ITSM suite, the IT Service Management Suite. And this will include things like change management, problem management, etc. So look for that in the next couple weeks. But again, you have my email address. If you don't, I will give it to you. It is ktomas@grouplink.net. Again, you can always send questions to Dan in support or to the support line, as well as the info box. But if you have anything specific to the webinar, just go ahead and send those in. Kathy, I will contact you as soon as this is over to figure out what template issue you're speaking of here. But I would like to thank everyone for attending the webinar today. And if you would like to join next week, that would be great. We can cover any other questions that week as well. If you would like a copy, just go ahead and contact me and I can send that to you. Thank you for attending and have a great day.